You've probably done this. You were with someone who treated you well. They texted back, they showed up, they were genuinely interested in you. And something inside you started to find that suspicious, or boring, or suffocating. And without really noticing, you pulled back, or manufactured a problem where there wasn't one, or just quietly stopped investing and let the whole thing die. It wasn't that you didn't care, you did, but something in you couldn't receive it. That something has a name, and if you've never understood why this keeps happening to you, what you're about to hear is going to change the way you see your own choices in relationships. Let me tell you about a patient a therapist described in a case study I came across a few years ago. I'll call him Daniel. There's something psychologists call an internal working model of relationships. It's essentially a mental map you built over the course of your life, and especially in childhood, about how relationships work, about what you can expect from other people, about what you deserve to receive. That map was built from your earliest experiences with the people who cared for you. If those experiences were safe, consistent, emotionally reliable, your map says relationships are a secure place, that people follow through, that you can open up without it being used against you. But if your experiences were inconsistent, if love showed up and disappeared without warning, if affection came with conditions, if a parent was present one moment and emotionally unavailable the next, your map says something different. It says relationships are unpredictable, that people leave, that vulnerability is dangerous, that you need to stay protected. And here's the part most people never learn. That map runs almost entirely outside your conscious awareness. You don't wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to sabotage this relationship today because I'm afraid of being abandoned. That's not how it works. What happens is that your nervous system picks up on the signals of real intimacy and reads them as a threat. And then your behavior shifts without you understanding why. There are 3 patterns that come up again and again when this is happening, and I'd be surprised if you don't recognize yourself in at least one of them. The first is what I call the proximity escape. Everything is going well, and precisely because it's going well, you start to withdraw. The person is kind, the relationship has potential, there's no serious conflict, but you start to feel like something is missing, like the spark isn't there, like the whole thing feels a little flat. Here's what's interesting. What you're calling lack of chemistry often isn't the absence of feeling. It's the absence of tension. And your nervous system learned somewhere along the way that a relationship without tension isn't real, that love without some edge to it doesn't count. So when someone comes along who is simply steady, consistently kind, reliably present, you don't feel that pull in your chest you associate with love, and you file the relationship away as shallow. Meanwhile, you keep being drawn to people who run hot and cold, who leave you on red and then come back like nothing happened. Not because those people are better for you, but because that dynamic is familiar, and the familiar, however painful, gets registered by the brain as safe. Daniel was the kind of guy everyone assumed had it figured out. Smart, emotionally articulate, easy to be around. He showed up to relationships with good intentions, but every time a relationship started working, every time the other person showed genuine reciprocity, something shifted in him. He'd start pulling away, pick fights over small things, become critical of details that hadn't bothered him before, and the relationship would end, and he'd be left with the feeling that, once again, he just hadn't found the right person. His therapist noticed something Daniel had never seen. He wasn't looking for a good relationship. He was looking for a relationship that confirmed what he already believed about himself. And what Daniel believed, somewhere beneath the surface, was that he didn't deserve to be truly loved. That might sound dramatic, but it's far more common than you'd think.
The second pattern is relational perfectionism. This is when you start keeping score of flaws. At first, the person seems great, but then you start noticing the way they tell a story, a little too long, the political opinion that's almost right but not quite, the laugh that's slightly too loud at the wrong moments, the way they order at restaurants. And these flaws, which would exist in anyone because everyone has them, start to expand in your mind until they fill the whole frame. What's happening here isn't that you're too picky. What's happening is that you're looking for an exit. Because if the person has a flaw big enough, you have a reason not to commit. You're not running away from the relationship, you just haven't found the right person yet. Safer that way, more controllable. The problem is that while you're waiting for someone without deal breakers, life moves on, and that person doesn't exist. The third pattern is the most subtle and maybe the cruelest thing you can do to yourself. It's anticipatory self-sabotage. This is when the relationship is going well, and you start bracing for when it won't be. You begin rehearsing the breakup in your head. You test the person in ways they don't realize they're being tested. You scan every interaction for early warning signs that they're about to leave. And in trying to protect yourself from a future pain that might never have arrived, you create that pain. You're the one who pushes them away. And then you're left with the feeling that you knew it all along, which is a prophecy you wrote yourself. If you recognized yourself in any of those patterns, I need you to understand something before we go further. This is not a character flaw. It's not immaturity. It's not something wrong with you as a person. It's a protection mechanism, one that made complete sense at some point in your life. The problem is that it's still running on autopilot, and now it's protecting you from things that don't need to be threats anymore. Your brain learned that closeness is dangerous, and it's trying to keep you safe. It's just keeping you safe in a way that also keeps you alone. If this is landing for you, subscribe to the channel, because the next video goes deeper into exactly how this protective system gets built in childhood, and what you can actually start doing to rewrite that internal map. So, what do you do with this? The first thing, and I know it sounds almost too simple, is to name what's happening in the moment it's happening. The next time you feel that pull to create distance when everything is going fine, stop. Don't act yet. Just observe. And ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Is this genuine boredom, or is this anxiety dressed up as boredom? Because there's a massive difference between this relationship genuinely has nothing to offer me, and this relationship is offering me something I don't know how to receive. The second thing is to start noticing the pattern over time, not the individual relationship, the pattern that repeats. Because one relationship that didn't work might be circumstance, two maybe. But if every time someone treats you well, you pull away, if every time things stabilize, you lose interest, if every time a secure person shows up, you feel like something is missing, the common denominator isn't them. And seeing that isn't an accusation, it's a door opening. The third thing, and this is the hardest one, is learning to sit with the discomfort of being genuinely cared for. Because when you're not used to being loved in a stable way, being loved in a stable way feels wrong, off somehow. Your nervous system is waiting for the catch, waiting for the moment the mask slips. And the work is learning, slowly, that not everything calm is about to collapse, that someone who's kind to you today can be kind to you tomorrow, that you can lower your guard without it destroying you. That doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small doses, over time, and small decisions not to run when every part of you is saying run. Daniel, the guy from the beginning of this video, stayed in therapy for close to 2 years, and at some point, he started dating a woman who treated him with consistency, calm, present, genuine. And for months, he waited for the moment she'd change, for the hidden problem to surface, for her to leave. That moment never came. And he said something to his therapist that I haven't been able to stop thinking about since I read it. The hardest part wasn't finding someone who loved me. It was learning to believe I was someone worth loving. You've probably let someone go who could have stayed. That's not something to feel guilty about. It's something to understand. Because when you can finally see the map you've been following, you can, for the first time, choose a different road.